Hello all, and welcome back to EastEnders Weekly. This week, the podcast is all about Ted's return.
Yeah,
because it doesn't fit anywhere else in the show.
The big return, the one everyone was really talking about. No one cared about Lola and Ben. That was like yesterday's news.
Yeah.
You know, this was a shock return by the one and
Sean
only
Slater,
Ted.
who?
Yeah. Sean Slater, written on a list. Nah. Ted's returning after 5 years of being off the square.
169 days, I think.
Oh, wow.
I think it's been.
Where did that statistic crop from?
I saw it somewhere. I can't remember where. So I can't acknowledge who I saw it from.
169 days, so it's been, what, almost 6 months? And he's returned.
He's very pale still from Australia.
He's been out for 6 months.
And he drove his car, so he must have left that at the airport for 6 months, which must have cost quite a lot of money.
Nice big bill. Unless he's just parked it on the street near the airport and no one's paid a blind bit of notice.
So yeah, Ted returned. It was really random that he returned, so we're just going to talk about it now because it's like not really much to say. He returned and Bernie was worried that he might find out his house was used as a drug house, so they cleaned it up.
But they cleaned up really well as well, because the last time we saw it...
It's like the storyline never happened.
It almost. Tiff had ripped the sofa underneath open, and there was trash and...
Drugs,
money, pizza boxes, boxes from McClunky's, you know, it was a pretty messy, and they only found out that Ted was coming home, 2 hours before we appeared. So they cleaned up. It was a pretty good job. They didn't call in clean slater. I thought that maybe Kat might have made an appearance
give it
this
away,
week.
You see. Let's keep it secret. But Bernie has a dilemma that she doesn't know if she was going to tell him the truth or not.
But she wants to tell Mr. Murray that she knew that the flat has been used as a drug den for the last 6 months, and the only one who kind of had any sensible thing to say about it, was the wonderful
intelligent child,
Bailey. Bailey was the only one who said, like, you know, it's the adults who are meant to tell the truth, not the kids. Why is it the other way around? Again, telling Bernie to lighten up a little bit. What he doesn't know won't probably hurt him. But you know that if she hadn't said anything, he probably would have walked into the bedroom and seen a little parcel of white powder or something.
Well, we don't know if she did tell him, you see. Because even though it was his big return episode, he had very little screen time.
Exactly.
So we don't know if she did tell him or not.
There was no fanfare.
I'm very worried that the first scene of them was about chess, though. I was like, oh, really?
I thought exactly the same. I thought, no, don't start referencing this again. I mean, maybe say it in passing, but again, it was their main conversation with one another.
I've been looking up new chess routines.
Remember when I stole your queen? Oh, and there we go. And now using the
I don't want a
metaphors
chess
again.
storyline.
Well, I mean, we've not really had a true completion of.
That's true.
A chess storyline.
How do you complete the chess storyline? That's trouble.
Well, Bernie has to win an ultimate term. It's like the Karate Kid. She's got to like win a tournament, but be the underdog.
They're gonna have to use all their resources and the writing team to get this to its rightful end, I think.
I mean, as recent as last week, I was saying that Ted probably wasn't going to come back, and they were just going to explain it away on screen. There he is.
He's here, pale, after 7 months in Australia. Didn't go outside. Played chess the whole time inside.
Yeah.
Ready for Bernie.
Teaching these Australians how to play a mean game of chess.
But this show isn't just about Ted and his return.
Nor is the actual show.
No. It's about EastEnders. And we are discussing the episodes that were broadcast between the 1st and the 5th of April.
April Fool's Day.
Oh, yes, I have to admit. You're Alex.
Oh, I'm Alex, by the way.
Yes, and I'm Ben, the host. I did do a April Fool's, which fooled a few.
And people are
still liking it now, so I'm a bit worried. But I've not said anything.
It fooled people for a little while. There were a few like, really? And then there was a retweet, and then the second message was, oh, April Fool's.
Yeah, but even today, like, someone liked it. So
but
maybe I should clarify.
In retrospect of it being April Fool's Day. The official EastEnders account did an April Fool's joke too, claiming that Mick and Stuart had
in on it.
It was a plan all along to make everyone think that they're the worst enemies, but it was actually one big plan.
They're having a bubble.
We'll be having a bubble later on the show. Stay tuned to listen.
But yeah, we said that Michelle Fowler's coming back, played by Susan Tully, to end the Shiani storyline this Christmas.
Yep.
But sadly, it's not true. Well, it might be true. Who knows?
Well, that's right. You just have to wait and see. But it's a shame that it is an April Fool's Susan Tully, because I love Susan Tully, and especially watching all the classic episodes. It's nice to...
Got something a bit later about her. But onto the new... We had a 6th face for Ben, because Ben is back.
He is.
Yes, because Kathy's been making her phone calls again.
She has. Well, she made her ultimate phone call on Friday. Just saying.
Where she phoned me by accident, and then she phoned the actual Ben.
It was obviously an misunderstanding along the line. You went all the way to E20 and
Yeah.
There was no one there to greet you, so you were most upset.
And Phil's still doing his like dodgy deals. He's desperate for cash, and like everyone's getting involved on his deals. Like Mel now is involved, and Billy.
Well, Billy didn't ask to be involved. He was just
Pushed.
involved, yeah, because
he works at E20.
Well, Phil needs to kind of launder this money. He needs to get it given out to as many people as possible. He can't do it through the garage, so he thought, oh, hang on, my wife and I own a nightclub. That might push out some money.
Well, he doesn't. It's all Sharon.
Yeah, but isn't he a part owner?
No, he got rid of it, didn't he?
Oh, he sold it to
Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Ray gave it. Although did that already go through?
Well, Ray then gave it to Mel.
Then died.
Presumably it went through. He must have left his assets.
But I remember the other week he said, it's all Sharon and Mel's. So he's just doing it just as a Mitchell.
Well, he's doing it because
it's his wife.
It's immediate means to do it, isn't it?
But he's not going to be making any money now because he's splitting it like 5 ways.
Well, no, he's splitting it with Mel 25%. She's taking 25%. She drove a hard bargain by Mel, has to be said. She needs to play for the solicitor fee.
I imagine he'll just cut Billy out secretly and not really tell him.
I don't think Billy's getting anything from it. I think Billy's just doing it because he's a Mitchell. He did have to have it explained quite step by step to him. So when you give change to people, use one of these.
So he still
notes.
messed it up because Mel saw straight away, so she was like, "I'll get on this."
Well, he wasn't to know that Mel was like watching because it could have looked like he was just changing up. He could have just been putting money in the till.
And the funny feud between Sharon and Mel is like over again. It keeps going. Their friendship's so weird.
Well, they had a bit of a dodgy conversation with one another. There was there was
and then
tension
Mel
there.
was like, "Can you just forget it?" Sharon was like, "Okay, I've got other problems."
Yeah.
It's all about this. It's like, oh, well, that's the point. All she wants to do is retire, but not on tonic water.
Well, they'll never retire on tonic water. We need other promotions.
Oh, I'm surprised Phil's not got Jay and the funeral home in there on this laundry business. Do you think they will when Ben asks him, his mate?
Funerals don't pay cash, do they? You pay by card, don't you? It's like big bills, isn't it? You need pubs or clubs or shops or cafes or nail bars or hair establishments.
Ben might force Lola to get a job there to then swap some cash over.
Well, Lola was offered a job, don't forget, this week.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
Yeah, but she said no because she didn't want to leave Denise in the lurch. She didn't want Denise to basically be left empty once the plan between her and Ben gives up, because there's a lot more information kind of leaking out about what Ben and Lola are up to.
Yes, because we can't forget Ben is back, Lola is back. New Ben, what do you think? Do you like him?
I like him. Yeah, he's all right. He's much more moody. He's much more grittier and kind of like
He's very angry.
He reminds me more of his dad. They tend to do like a cycle of Bens. So they have his mum. He's more like Kathy, then he's more like Phil, and then more like Kathy, and now he's gone back to being more like Phil again.
Yeah, because a lot of people are saying like he's had a character transplant. Because last time he was on it, he was with Paul, and I think that is what softened Ben a bit, didn't it?
Yes.
He found his one true love, Paul, and he calmed down a bit, and he wasn't as angry. And Paul helped him with his like anger issues. Obviously, then his
anger issues came out again.
Yeah, because Paul got beaten to death for being gay. So I guess
because Ben was chasing the group that were shouting abuse at him.
Yeah. So I guess that's why now Ben's now gone on this. He's a lot more angry.
But he seems angry at Phil. He seems angry at his dad, and so the indication we're getting from the kind of conversations they're doing, in the dark shadows between Lola and Ben, is that this is all a big plan to maybe take down Phil in one way or another.
I wondered that, but he said to Lola at the end, because Lola said, "I don't think I can do this. I can't lie to everyone." And he said, "Oh shush, if we play this right, no one has to get hurt." So like, no one has to get hurt. Does that mean Phil isn't going to get hurt? Or that's why I don't quite understand what their plan is.
I mean, he stuck to Phil straight away. Found out he was quite good actually. He manipulated Phil and found out every single minute detail.
But do you think that Ben and Keanu already knew each other, like when he was in Spain, and that's why Keanu's in on this plan? Ben and Keanu are working together and pretending they don't know each other.
I don't know, because Keanu's always in the corner looking a bit mopey.
If he's there getting all the information, isn't he? He's just
but now Ben's returned. He seems a bit upset that he's kind of been. He saw himself as being the new,
new Ben.
New Ben, yeah, the new Mitchell in the family, and the 8th Ben, and he's kind of been pushed to one side now because his blood has come back. And there's a few shots when Ben and Phil were talking. You could see kind of Kish, kicking his heels and kind of looking in the background, kind of not really knowing what to do with himself.
And he's acting odd, different.
Who, Keanu?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's listening to everything. Like, he knows all of Phil's plans, and if he's in on Ben on the side, he might be feeding the information back to Ben. Like, Ben knew exactly to look in that box and like open it and see the papers in there and stuff.
But then Keanu didn't know anything about that. But Kathy did. So maybe Kathy streamed the information to Ben. Said, there's a box. It's locked. It's got paperwork in it. Have a look. Go and have a look.
I mean, I must admit, I did really enjoy the new Ben. We were first to moan when it was announced that he's been recast because it seemed not needed.
But we were, to our defence, we were aware that there's probably a reason for it, that he was going to be taking a bit more of a different story route rather than the one that they had before, as you said, with Paul.
I think he's really good, though. I think he was really good from the off. He had really good chemistry with Steve McFadden, which is difficult sometimes for some actors, but no, he just was straight in there, wasn't he, with all the characters?
He certainly wasn't a Johnny when he was introduced. I mean, let's never forget Johnny's first scene, and I loved him at the train station. So he's confident. He's
very good.
He knows what he wants to. His aim.
He's got a hearing aid, everyone.
Yes, they've established that the hearing aid is there. It's one of those invisible ones.
He told Jay, "I've got contact lenses now."
Yeah.
He told Louise when she thought, "Are you and Lola together?" He said, "No, I'm still gay." Like, they got it all on the first episode. They got it out. He's wearing a ring on his finger to cover his tattoo, his Paul tattoo.
Yeah, they're covering all the bases.
They've done it all on the first episode, so it's all good.
Yeah.
I'm still a bit gay, he said.
No, I'm still a big gay.
No, I put subtitles. I thought it was big gay, but I put subtitles on, and I'm still a bit gay.
Phil didn't like that though.
No.
It's shot straight to Phil's face. Yeah, and he kind of snuffled.
Kathy, also, her face the whole episode was hilarious.
Oh, Kathy was
She was walking around with like a smile on her face.
This is like the happiest day of her life. She was just, although she was a bit disappointed when Phil came along and wanted to take Ben and Lola for them to live with him at their house. I know, and Lola agreed to it, much to Kathy's dismay. Kathy was like, "But I've got this big house."
Big empty house to build.
It was really sweet, really, because Lola said that she was scared of the ghost of...
Well, that didn't make sense to me. She said Lexi didn't like sleeping in there because she was scared it was at Lucy's old room. Like, why have they told Lexi Lucy died in there? Like, she didn't die in there anyway, but why have they told Lexi this? Lexi wouldn't have known Lucy that back then.
No, I guess
she
not.
was like a baby.
Well, she would have known, but she probably wouldn't have known the murder. Was it? No, she wasn't there.
No, she was like one. She wasn't even there. Yeah, she was like.
So Lola's been telling a few tall stories to Lexi, I think.
Lexi, this is the room where your cousin third removed died here, Lexi. Night.
With a wooden box by her brother.
You know your scary grandma who's dead? She's downstairs. That'd probably scare her more. Like, Kathy's walking about.
She's an actual ghost. She's actually. Can you imagine if that's the story, that in like 10 years' time you find out that Kathy was a ghost all along? She just walks into a wall.
Ian's imagination.
Yeah. He had early sets of schizophrenia or something.
But no, it's looking very positive. I can't quite work out what the secret plan is, because like I say, they say no one will get hurt, and Lola's feeling guilty about lying to people, but I don't quite know what she's lying about.
She says she can't do it. She says it all the time. She says she can't lie to her dad.
But what's she lying about? She's not exactly doing much.
But this is what we mean, and this is why at the moment you're kind of thinking that Ben is up to something against his dad.
And there was like an angry bit of Ben when Lexi was trying to like show him her rabbit, and he like kicked the rabbit and said, just get away from me.
He lost his temper because that was when the plan was kind of not falling apart, but it wasn't going the way he wanted it to go.
Because he wanted to not move in with Phil.
Yeah, that's right. He wanted to stay away from Phil. He did give a reason. I think he didn't want to get too close to Phil too quickly. That's right.
I prefer to stay with Kath.
Yeah, I'd stay with Kath.
In the Beale house. You want to be in that house if you're an EastEnders.
Bacon sandwich every morning.
Yeah.
Filtered coffee.
Sit in Lou's old room.
Yeah, reminisce.
But yeah, he's really good. Lola, I'm a bit about.
I'm actually surprised how much I'm enjoying Lola. I was surprised.
I think she's a bit. I don't know if the actress is getting time to settle in again. But I don't know. There's something a bit off.
She hasn't seemed to have had as much to do.
No, she feels like a bit of a spare part to me. Like she's only there like to introduce Ben, and then she'll go.
The sidekick of Ben.
Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't seem much depth to her at the moment.
I have to say, kudos to Lexi's skipping skills. Like that skip that she did down Bridge Street was tremendous. I don't think any child would be able to keep that momentum up.
Well, she likes listening to all the music and dancing to it.
Yeah, just like her mother.
Grandmother.
Sorry, yes.
Peg.
Like her grandmother,
or just like original Ben used to dance to Lady Gaga.
Yes, with bin lids on his front and
that's what Lexi did.
And colanders on his head. I'm surprised Mel didn't make more of an issue of Ben's return as well, since she was chasing him down for money last time they met.
I know. He seems to have the same coat on because he paid Phil off. Like Phil owed £1,000. He's like, oh, I've got the same coat from France. I've got these notes in here still from when you last saw
sewn
me.
into the stitching. It's fine. Don't you worry about
So
it.
yeah, they must have been the same notes from the heist money, I assume. But he's done quite well.
No, he's made some money in Portugal.
Apparently.
That's
He's done quite well.
Yeah, it's doing very similar from what I could make out. Doing very similar to what Phil did, and that is undercutting the locals, messing them up a little bit, and making money that way.
Yeah, he's a right old businessman now, old Ben.
One more thing is that Keanu has to keep an eye on Louise, which he's not doing a great job on. And,
well, he is.
But he's not. Because,
almost too much.
Well, no. Because to begin with, Louise was like, do you like me or not? It's as black and white as that. And he's like, I can't, I don't know. And then Louise storms off in Louise fashion. And
can't wait for her to get kidnapped.
I know. Nor can I.
Counting down the days.
And Phil tells him that, he can do whatever he wants with her, as long as it's just a kiss and a cuddle.
Yeah, just keep her sweet.
Keep her sweet. Kiss
Nothing
and a cuddle.
more.
Sharon didn't look very happy about seeing them kissing on the sofa.
She's straight on, isn't she, with her eyes?
She hates it. She's still trying to convince Phil to break it up between them. And,
so Keanu then says yes to Louise to pretend that they're together so that he can keep an eye on her still. So now she obviously wants to go further.
She wants Keanu babies.
She wants those raisins.
She does.
That's so well known in that house. So yeah, that's interesting. Obviously, he's going to take his eye off her one day, and something's going to happen to her. And I'm assuming that Danny guy is going to have something to do with it.
Well, presumably he's going to say no to her advances. She's not backwards with coming forward, is she? And
that's true. She's
going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and eventually Keanu's going to be no.
Maybe he'll say to Sharon, can you just interrupt every time? I'll send you a text just before it's going to happen, and could you just interrupt us just to stop it happening?
Sharon will be like, my pleasure. Yes.
Yeah, sure. I'll take her place.
Put on my wig, straighten it up, and off she goes.
Right, next up we've got the Billy, Honey, Adam, and Lola's in on it as well.
She is.
She's mixing storyline.
I know, you're saying she's a background character. She's everywhere.
Yeah, but she was still a bit meh.
She was all right. I like I said, Lola was okay. I enjoyed Lola, her return. Not as much as Ben's, because Ben's a more exciting character. But
he's got new outfits and everything. She hasn't.
New hearing aids, new contact lenses.
She's got the same hair colour.
New beard. Ben's got a little beard going as well.
I know. It's all going on.
Not as mighty as my beard. Let me tell you.
No, of course not.
I keep birds
but you're
in
not
there.
a Mighty Mitchell, so...
No, I'm not.
Your name means nothing.
Wow.
His name does.
In the circles I socialise with, perhaps my name means a lot more.
Maybe. So yeah, we had more development on the Adam and Honey storyline, because obviously last week Billy saw Habiba kiss him on the cheek.
Yes, and Billy's taken it a little bit out of...
But Jay's just like, Billy, just don't be stupid, there's nothing in there.
Jay said, you're meddling. Stop meddling. Just
can't help meddling.
You cannot help it, can he,
Me
Billy?
and that woman last year who was in for 3 episodes, that prostitute, what was her name, Tara?
Yeah, meddled. Yeah, that's true. He meddled
with
with
her,
that.
I thought she was going to be a character.
The Irish singer, wasn't she? Yeah. Friends with her on Twitter. We promoted her single.
I know, and then
got
she's
nothing.
Disappeared.
Nothing.
And then we have like Lola wanting to help her pops. I want to say as well, last week we predicted what the first words of Lola would be.
Yes, you did, and you predicted correctly.
100% correctly.
Hang on, let's just put in a trumpet sound for Ben. There we go. So that's your reward for knowing that she said, "Hello, Pops."
That is quite impressive.
It's very impressive.
I know my Lola. She's not the same this time, I can tell.
You're like one of those computers on like a sci-fi movie that takes information from like every episode of EastEnders. Yeah, and your algorithm said, "Hello, Pops." That will be her line.
It's too predictive. We got more of like the Adam's dark side because Lola wanted to get Billy and Honey back together because she found out that they'd split up.
Yes, Billy was quite honest and said that he had an affair.
Well, he said to her, "Don't ask."
Well,
because she laughed and said, "Oh, you didn't cheat on her, did you?" Yeah. He was like,
Well, the whole Mitchells looked at him, didn't they? Because that's when they were having their drink in the Vic. Yeah, that was nice as well. I forgot to mention that, but that big Vic drink with all the Mitchells.
And everyone was just kept looking at each other because there was loads of storylines.
Lots of stories being kept from one another. Yeah. And Kathy beaming in the background with her gin and tonic. I'm so happy.
So glad I came back from the dead.
For this moment.
And then we had like a thing going on about Adam setting up a new school for Will.
When he's not starting a whole school.
No, but like it was his friend who could get him into like this posh school because Honey was worried.
The Wolford High was going a bit downhill. There's too many drugs. There was that stabbing storyline.
Too many fires at proms.
Yeah, too many kids getting stuffed in lockers and forgotten about. Too many teachers trying to kiss their pupils.
Yeah, exactly. Don't like that.
All this is happening in Wolford High.
But Billy kind of messes up the interview by being a down-to-earth man.
Well, he gets aggressive because he feels like the head teacher is patronising him again.
I don't really think he was that much though, was he?
He was being a bit snotty. I suppose he was
But
looking.
Will used to be a model.
That was Honey's
did
main
I.
thing, and he's very good at keepy uppy. He can do it for at least a minute. So,
But yeah, and that's when Lola said, "Oh, don't leave it with me, Pops. I'll arrange a dinner." So she invites Adam, Honey, the kids, and Billy and her to have a meal. And you see that like darker side of Adam because she accidentally, really obviously drops a whole plate of pasta on him.
Well, before any of this, Adam is showing that he is quite a controlling person.
Not really. He's just suggesting they don't eat sugar.
But, yes, but he's suggesting it as in, this is my opinion and everyone should follow it, rather than, this is my opinion and if you agree with me, that's fine.
He didn't make them. He just said, I won't have anything.
Yeah, but Honey was very much...
Yeah, that was more Honey's fault, because she said, me either.
Yeah,
she could have had some.
But there was other things as well. Like every time she was having a conversation with Billy, she would say, "Oh, Adam says this," or "Adam says that." Adam's going to fix the problem at the school. So
she's infatuated with Adam, so she's going to talk highly of him.
I think she's lost that infatuation now, and I think that Adam's kind of planted the seed in Honey's head that Adam is the be and end all in their lives, and so whatever Adam says is what goes. That's how I see it, and I think that's how it's being written. I think Adam's becoming this very dominant character in Honey's life, and Honey is almost falling in line with it, because Honey's not one to kind of step outside the mark.
She's quite regimental, isn't she?
Yeah, so that's how I saw it, and and that's really dark, because that's almost abuse, isn't it, if you think about it?
But when like the pasta got spilt on him, it wasn't that overreacting.
It would have been annoying. Big time overreaction.
He said, "What have you done? You spilt this pasta."
You have no idea how expensive the shirt is. He again quite looking down at the family around him.
But she smirked at him. She smirked at him after she did it.
Well, no, he only smirked at him after that. Honey said, or Billy said, "You're overreacting a little bit there." Apologised to Lola, and then Adam apologised, and she smirked.
Adam knows she's up to something.
It's going to be one of those stories, isn't it, where you're kind of like, is it Adam's fault really because everyone's against him, or is Adam this nasty, dominating?
I wonder
character?
how nasty they're going to make Adam. Like, is he just going to be like a relatively normal guy who has this controlling side, and it's just part of like the relationship, or are they going to go like 1,000% and he's going to be like a psycho? I
think in a way it depends on how controlling he is around Habiba, because at the moment you're getting the idea
that element to it as well.
Yeah, you're getting the idea that Habiba is the one who's pulling the strings with him and herself. But is it that Habiba's got control, or is it that Adam's had this control? Are we going to find out that when they were 15, it was maybe more than just that kiss? Yeah. And so it was him in control.
Yeah, it's strange there's that element to it, isn't it? There's like a few, like there's the Billy and Honey bit, and then him and Honey, and him and Habiba, and now Lola's like getting involved.
Yeah. So
you do wonder like what direction it's going to take. I'm still under the impression that he'll murder Lola.
Well, Adam will murder Lola.
Yeah, he knows that she's.
Well, you were just a second saying it wasn't Adam's fault, and now you're accusing him of
murder. Oh, I was just doing
murder.
that just for conversation. I have to put both points across.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering. The fact, last week we said her promotion shots were released and they hadn't changed her like wardrobe, or they haven't updated her character.
Yeah, she's come
exactly
back
the same.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a bit like because she's back temporary, but they're not saying that.
They might just be testing the water with her, seeing how she goes down, because she was a popular character with viewers. But to be honest with you, I've not really seen much said about her over social medias.
Although the trouble is they can't really kill another young character because there'd be so many.
Yeah,
but I don't know if they would then, like, that would lead to Ben having to look after Lexi, and maybe if he has a partner, it would be a storyline about two men bringing up a child. Like, I don't know. I just think there's more story possibilities if Lola's suddenly taken out of the mix.
I agree with you on that. It would make much more interesting viewing if Lola is out of the mix in a very kind of mysterious way. I'd rather that she just disappeared. A bit like what Stuart did with
Dylan Box.
Are you going to push me over this edge?
Or maybe Lola gets kidnapped, and the person kidnapped who was meant to kidnap Louise thinks Lola's Louise because they're both blonde.
Yeah, but that's a very sudden. Lola has literally just come into
true.
the show. I think it's a bit too soon to start doing anything like that. I would rather that it was a
because that happened with Fat Boy and Vincent, didn't it? They
got the wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, that has a bit of race card.
Oh yeah, that was ridiculous. But that same thing could be put onto Lola because she's
they're both blonde. They're both white. Yeah. It must be the same person.
Well, like she's a Mitchell. Like she's probably hanging around with the same people. So Danny might get confused with kidnapping the wrong one.
As we discussed last week, Danny was quite convinced that Keanu was like this all-powerful man who could take on 7 men, and we found out that Keanu just curled up.
He couldn't even take on Jagger.
Well, no, he couldn't.
So, but yeah, interesting. Lots of little bits going on.
I mean, finally they're doing something with Adam and Honey.
I still don't want Honey and Billy together though.
Oh no, nor do I.
Like, even if it all comes out about Adam being controlling and Honey stands up to him and dumps him, and like Billy's like there expecting Honey to go back to him, I'd still like Honey to not, like, to say to him, oh, thanks for showing me what Adam was like, but we're still not getting back together.
Yeah,
I think that would be interesting.
It would work better if they were friends, and friends where it's not a constant battle with Billy to trying to stop Honey having some kind of relationship with someone else. It'd just be silly.
That's right. Right, so next up we have our feature returning, first till last, where we look at how a character changes from the first to last appearance. Do you get it?
Clever.
Thanks. So enjoy. We're back with another first till last, named after Neymar's first ever store.
She has a lot to answer for, Neymar.
But once again, Neymar's not the character about this.
That would be like the final episode. The whole theme
Neymar.
of the episode.
She didn't change. She changed quite a bit, actually.
She changed loads.
She's got long hair and short hair.
But more than that.
But no, this week we are talking about the original Tart with a Heart, Pat Butcher.
Oh,
there's a lot to go through, so this, could possibly come back and talk about Pat Butcher about 1,000 times.
I mean, we could talk about the bits in between Pat Butcher and how
a lot went on.
A lot went on in the bedroom,
very
out
loose,
the bedroom.
Loose woman.
She was very loose. But this is obviously about the first and last episodes.
And how she changed as a woman.
Exactly. This was a request as well, wasn't it, on our Facebook group?
It was, yes. So we're doing it. We're here for Pat. We love it. And it's interesting, Pat's like, because she's not an original character, but she kind of is, because she was mentioned
from the beginning.
Yeah, she was a part of Pete's backstory.
Yeah, he married young because he was he thought that she loved him, and then she ended up sleeping with numerous other men behind his back. Obviously, one of them being the result of Wixie.
Well, that's why it's weird, because Wixie was invented because Mark Fowler left the show unexpectedly, and because of that, that is why then Pat was brought in. So she's such an iconic character who's been in it for thousands of years, and she was created on the back of someone else leaving and another character.
Yeah, she was an afterthought
funny,
almost. Yeah, she also was there to bring some conflict in, wasn't she? Because the producers, Julia and Tony, thought the characters were becoming too nicey and were liking each other too much, so they needed to add
a bit stale.
Yeah,
they had that problem in the beginning when they did the Reg Cox murder. They thought afterwards, oh, actually, none of these characters have that in them. Yeah. So they invented Nick Cotton to be the murderer, and everyone was being too nicey and pally, so they needed to bring in this character who could throwing a grenade in. Yeah,
shake things up a little bit.
Does everything. That's why she's got so many ties to everyone, Pat.
But she also shook up the Bills, who were the cornerstone of the soap from the beginning. So it was the one family you don't mess with is the Bills, and she did. She just went straight head on and went for it.
She did. So yeah, she started off as she was still likeable. I think that's because of the actress and her portrayal as her. Because she went into the show in '86, and she, her first appearance, she put in the work on her performances to make sure she stood out.
Oh yeah, she was a character that you wouldn't forget. Even she was in 2 episodes, and she would
to try her out to begin with.
Yeah, and you immediately stuck to her, and you wanted to know more about her story. There was a few seeds laid ready for us to want to learn more from her. And I
love her first episode though, where she's getting drunk with Angie, because her and Angie are meant to be friends back in the day and stuff.
Well, they all were. So Den, Pete, Angie, Big Mo, yeah, they were all a group, weren't they? And they all hung around with one another, and so they all, and Pat inclined that she had tried it with Den before, and everyone was jealous because Den chose Angie, and it was interesting because it kind of developed Angie's backstory too, about how Den and Angie first became together and their relationship.
And she's very good at acting drunk, fun drunk. She does it with Colin a lot.
Yeah,
and she gets drunk with Pauline later down the years. So
there's a great scene also, if we're going to look a bit further down, just briefly, when her and Peggy get drunk in the ice cream van.
Oh yeah,
when they eat too many sugary sweets, let's just say, and find a bottle of vodka in the freezer. Yeah, she's so much fun, but this is the side of Pat where you saw the fun side, but you didn't really see the calculated side and the manipulative side, which was something you saw a bit later on. So first of all, you saw that Pat had something in her, some secrets that she wanted to reveal and shake things up. But right now, you saw the fun, exciting side where she just wanted to have.
She had a big guard up, and it's portrayed that's part of her character, because she used to be a bit slimmer and prettier.
Yes,
and she used to rely on her looks.
Yeah,
and obviously now that she's a bigger woman in her when she's lost her looks a bit, that's sort of her guard that she's now using people say, "Oh, you're fat now," or "You're this, you've lost your looks,"
Yeah.
and she just kind of lets it. She makes people think it's not bothering her,
but inside it really is
yeah.
upsetting her. I mean, a lot of people already referencing her past job as well, of being on the game and using her body for
With Johnny Allen,
sale. Yes,
with everyone. They always tied in people into her background. It's so funny.
She had
She had many feuds.
And she basically, as I said, she started the first feud off with Pete straight away. Pete instantly took a dislike of her being on the square, and that also made me like her more because she was upsetting Pete Bill.
It's funny though, because she has all these like close girlfriends, but she's quite horrible to them the second their back is turned.
Well, yeah, she'll stab them immediately. Again, with Angie, she tried it with Angie to sleep with Den. Didn't have a care that Angie knew. She was like, well, he's fair game in my eyes.
Yeah, and then when obviously later on Peggy becomes like one of her oldest friends, and like she slept, she would be with Frank behind her back, and she'd always say horrible things that they'd make up, or they'd fight and then they'd have a glass of wine.
Yeah.
And then she'd like do the same to Yolandi. Like they always try to pair her off with people to have feuds with, but she wasn't the best friend, Pat, to other females. She always saw every other female as like a rival, because even Big Mo's they had a big feud with as well.
Yeah,
so...
something she can steal from. She sees females as someone that she can get more from, and normally it's a man.
Yeah, it's funny.
A man in the middle of it.
Funny character trait of hers. I guess she's always better mates with men.
Yeah,
women.
That's it. She is. She seems to be able to have a better relationship with a man, be it as a friend, than she can with other females. But she doesn't have a short list of women though who like her, because a lot of women like her. And
that's true. And I mean, I think the biggest turning point was when Lou Bill said to her, wanting to go Ethel to move back into her flat, and she said, the one thing you want to do is be liked on this square. If you listen to my advice and give up this flat, everyone on the square will like you, and what you want, you'll be the most popular girl.
Yeah.
And it's like, that was a really interesting character trait. And when you look forward like to her last few years, she turned into that character who was the elder woman, but everyone went to her for advice, or she'd always tell everyone straight or want to help people. She like became quite motherly in that role, and she had that huge family around her. I guess that's what she always wanted.
Yeah, if I think you're right, she wanted to have people respect her and like her, and she knew that a lot of people. She knew that she had a very dark past, and it's something that she would never ignore. She would never pretend it never happened. She would never sweep it under the carpet, but she would take that and then embrace it and then move forward with it and say, well, yeah, so I can help you, or I can give you advice because I've had this troubled, turbulent past.
Literally everything happened to her.
It really did, poor Pat, and which leads to her demise, I suppose. You saying that everything happened to her. So if we fast forward then to her very final episode,
very sad,
which was over the New Year's period of 2011 and 2012.
It was over Christmas she was diagnosed, because she'd been having like the last few years of her storylines were quite limited. Like they didn't really do much with her, but they gave her like a heart attack and she was going to have a pacemaker. She didn't want to have a pacemaker, and then she thought something wrong with her heart, and it turned out that she had pancreatic cancer, which had spread like everywhere pretty much. Yeah,
too far, and it couldn't be, unfortunately, cured, and so she didn't want to spend her last dying days in hospital. Ricky overheard all this, and Pat was a bit upset that he had heard this, because I think she wanted to kind of keep it from everyone and just get on with life.
Tough old boot.
She really
to the bitter end.
Yeah.
And everyone kept saying to her, like when they found out that she was ill, they were like, "Oh no, you won't die. You'll battle through it. You'll get through it." And like she said to them, "Yeah, I will," but she knew that she wouldn't.
But she didn't want the pity, and that's another trait about Pat. She doesn't want people feeling sorry for her.
She wanted the gin.
She certainly wanted the gin. First thing she ordered when she went into the Vic, gin and tonic.
But not the pity. But I mean, it was such a shame they decided to kill Pat off. And to be fair, her last episode is very, very good, and it's written really well. It has everything you want as like a ending to a character. Like characters come back.
Yeah.
Like even Simon Wicks comes back for like the funeral episode after the credits, and it has like loads of storylines start in that house. Like you find out that Ricky had cheated on Bianca. You find out that Janine's pregnant, and they all put this onto Pat as her last day on Earth, and she's still there right to the end, being the one to toss out advice.
Yeah, and help them out. The biggest advice she gave was to Janine, and this is throughout these episodes. Janine's desperately trying to get the money that Pat owes her for the debt, and then when Janine finds out, she's acting all cold and hard. Like
She's chucking her out.
She wants to chuck her out the house.
Faking it.
Yeah, and then when they say she's not faking it, it's for real, she's going to die probably tonight. It
Janine's
just
like,
breaks...
I'll give you money.
I know, it breaks Janine. Yeah, she goes running upstairs and wants to help. And this is when Pat really gives her real advice, because again, Pat says that she sees Janine in her, a bit more vicious perhaps, but knows that she's number one and she's the one who needs to look after herself. Janine looks after herself just like Pat has had to look after herself all this time. But she tells Janine to be a bit kinder, and not to ever go as low as what she had to do to get money and to having to sell herself. Because hadn't Janine slept with... Yeah, I was about to say, Janine had slept with Ian at this point.
Janine's done quite a few storylines as well.
But she's following a similar path to Pat, and Pat's basically saying you're really following a dangerous path.
And the only daughter she had ever had, she calls her and stuff.
Yeah, with Frank. And again, they reminisce over Frank together, which is nice.
And she never got over Frank, her one true love.
Was her one true love? It was really sad.
But it was very emotional at the end when her son comes in and she says to him, just before she dies, she says, "I don't want to die. I'm scared. I don't want to leave yet." And it's like, yeah, none of us do, because it's such a shame they killed Pat. Even though it was a great episode, I still miss her now. Yeah, and she could still easily be in the show now. So it just feels.
Oh yeah, she could be with Patrick, especially now they're giving Patrick. They seem to be giving Patrick a lot more. Patrick and Pat. Yeah, we could have given some advice to Tiff over this with Whitney.
But I guess she had so many storylines.
She was becoming, as you said, in the year, she was becoming more background, more kind of. Would dip in and out now and then.
Kate Oates would have loved her. Kate Oates would have went wild.
Yeah, that's true. Well, again, probably delve up some of the past and used it. It would have been a nice link for Janine as well, because a lot of people want Janine back and argue that Janine should come back. And Pat is an easy way in.
To get in. But I still don't agree with the fact they killed her off. Even though the final episode was very upsetting and very well done, I just think it's a shame. But at least, first till last, she does make another appearance. In 2017. She
does. Before we go to her extra appearance, her very last, we must talk about that when she did make her, what we thought was to be her last episode, she had her own theme, Pat's theme. Yes. And it was obviously a very similar ilk to the Julia's theme, but the music seemed less melodic and more sporadic. Kind of the notes seemed to not match up quite right. And I think that was an interesting interpretation of actually Pat's life. That her life wasn't smooth.
Off tune, yeah.
That's right, it was never on tune, and she always split on different parts. And I thought that was a really interesting that they gave her own theme. And and who else has had their own theme? Kathy,
Peggy.
Yeah,
Kathy's was reused from that
with the 90s period when they updated the theme to electric
pop.
But
yeah, Peggy had her own theme. And Pat,
yeah. So rightly
Julia,
so,
obviously.
But talking about Peggy, then Peggy's theme, end theme. So this was Pat's last as well as Peggy's last. So they shared their last together.
They did, and she comes back as a vision. She didn't come back, sadly, but she came back as a vision to be with Peggy because they were, they hated each other, but they loved each other, and it was just it was a secret when it came out, and it was amazing when you saw her on the stairs.
It was so when you first of all saw smoke coming from the stairs, and Peggy started talking to Pat, and at first there was no one there. So I suppose it was a hallucination maybe by Peggy from her illness.
No, yes, she was there.
No, I'm not questioning ghosts and whether they exist, but I'm just saying that to us as viewers, that it was an image, as you said.
Yes, it was. Yes.
And it was a great idea.
It was a great end, yeah. And he also, Dominic also brought her back for the Ghost of Ian's Past as well. She made a cameo for that.
That was for the Children in Need special, which you can hear on one of our extra episodes.
Yes. But it's nice because that obviously goes to show she loves the show still. Because she'll come back for these things.
Oh, I don't think the actress Pat St. Clement ever wanted to leave.
She wanted a break. She wanted a year break. And
that's a dangerous thing to say. Because then the producer's like, you want a break, do you? Here, have a permanent one.
I'll never forgive him for it, I'm afraid. He can stay on Hollyoaks.
Is he the Hollyoaks producer?
Yeah, for years. Yeah. He's been Hollyoaks producer since he left.
Has he? So he killed Pat and then went to Hollyoaks?
Then killed about 1,000 characters.
Yeah, Hollyoaks has many deaths.
I massively disagree with her being killed, but at least she was a great character until the end. They didn't ruin her. She didn't...
Well, her ending, both of them were both perfect.
Plus Simon Wick's made an appearance. So.
Yes, at the end, as you said, after the credits, he laid
her funeral.
Laid some flowers down.
Yeah. There you go, Mum.
Yeah.
That was it. So you mean, they do something special for her.
They did. They really did build her up for a nice exit.
But I'm just sad she's not here anymore.
I'm sad. There's a lot of characters that aren't here anymore.
So there's loads of stuff we've obviously missed out because Pat had like story branches and all sorts of things that could cover like hours. So this is just like the gist of her character.
This is just the beginning, the end, and a little bit in between. But I'm sure we'll come back.
Still a tart. She didn't change that much.
She liked her sugary rings.
Yeah.
She and her big earrings. She loved her big earrings. She gave Tiff a pair of her earrings before she died.
Exactly. Yeah. I wonder if Tiff still wears them.
Well, I was thinking that.
Ruby red they were.
Yeah. But if they should ever do an anniversary of her death, it'd be nice if Tiff walked in.
Yeah, wore them.
Yeah, and said, Pat gave me these. And was it her grandmother?
Gran, yeah.
Yeah, Granny Pat.
No, great Gran.
Great Granny Pat.
I think. Yeah. Someone let us know, because that family tree is a bit mixed. But yes. Love you, Pat.
We do.
And it was great to see her first, energetic, drunk, and her last. Well, she was still drunk a bit.
Well, she wasn't drunk. Well, she was drugged.
She had quite a few gins.
And then came back as a spirit.
There you go. So let us know if you have any fond memories, which I'm sure you have, of Pat Butcher, because there was a lot to think about. And then we'll read some out, and then we might be able to talk about more about her.
I'm sure we'll come back to the subject of Pat Butcher again another day.
There you go. So that was Pat Butcher's first till last. Well, from one butcher to another, we are now on to Tiff Butcher. What would Pat say, eh? What would Pat say?
What would Pat do?
She'd be there to help.
She would. She'd get her little wing and put it over Tiff. Her support.
Give her a gin.
give her another pair of her earrings.
She would have sorted Evie out months ago.
Put the slap on and told her to keep her chin up and just go on.
No,
forward.
It's quite alarming, this storyline, because Jack Branning has been paired off with Tiffany, who he's not really had much screen time with, even though they're family.
Yes.
They suddenly remember their family again. Thank you, Kate Oates or John Sen. I don't know whose work this is, but thank you.
Yeah.
The family remember their families. That's nice. How's Jack been portrayed for you? There's been some mixed feelings.
Now, people have actually commented to us saying that they're looking forward to hearing what we say about Jack. So this is hard for me to say.
Broken heart.
And I'm gonna swallow hard as I say it, as I suppress any kind of anger that may bubble out of me as I say this. But I actually thought Jack was a good character this week.
A decent guy.
I enjoyed his story.
There was no fists or anger or throwing anything.
Yeah, he was able to
caring.
Stand back. He listened, which is outstanding, and he helped Tiff throughout the whole of this in a very caring and nurturing way.
Maybe this is something that happens to Brannings, like Jim Branning. Like they hit a certain age and they suddenly turn like a nice guy.
Maybe
he's turned Jim Branning on us, hasn't he?
We even saw quite a nice moment when he was with his children this week, and they were doing the fortnight dance. And he said, "Oh, Rainie's just upstairs. If you need any help, I'm just going out to check on Tiff one more time." He constantly wanted to make sure Tiff was okay. Didn't. It's just
calm. Nice calm.
It was
Jack.
calm. I was just shocked. Last week on Friday, I still didn't. I was like, "Oh, Jack, this is going to turn out badly. Jack's going to go to the police, dob her in, whatever,
betray her.
Yeah, do one thing or another." But he didn't.
Right.
He was...
And there was even like a funny moment, which I've never laughed at Jack before.
No?
Like without laughing at him, not with him.
Yeah, that's true.
But laughed with him for once when they were in the STI clinic, and she said, you said you were my uncle. They were all looking at you weird, and he had a bit of a funny moment.
Yeah, and also when Tiff accused Jack of being a specialist at the clap clinic, I had a little chuckle because Jack's reaction was quite sincere. It was, I know. I don't.
More about Tiff though, because this is the part of the
Tiff's story, really, not Jack's.
No, that's enough about Jack. That's all you're getting.
That's enough gushing you're getting with a year, though.
Slight issue because I thought she wants to see Evie. She's written a letter for Evie. And we know in the past that Tiff has been like obsessive compulsive liar almost. Like she lied that Bianca abused her. That's why she came to Wolford, didn't she?
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
When she first got introduced. So we know she's a liar, and she lies to get what she wants. Because she pretends she had like punches on her, didn't she? And she said it was Bianca to try and stay with Whitney.
I remember.
And then she's obviously infatuated with Evie, and she's been groomed, that's what Whitney's picked up on and Jack's picked up on. So she is infatuated with Evie, and she's written her a letter, and she wants Jack to send it to her, but he said there's no contact.
Yeah, he didn't, and she wants to give her goodbye properly. So again, this is something that perhaps is in her mind. she wants to say goodbye to Evie properly.
And Jax almost asked her, it's a grooming thing, have you been sexually assaulted? And she said no to begin with, because I guess she felt awkward. And then she said yes, because before that she heard Jack talking about sending the letter. And
no, he was on the phone and
he said
Tiff
something
was
about
asleep.
Evie.
Tiff was asleep on the sofa.
Yeah, but she was listening, wasn't she?
No, she wasn't. She was completely...
You sure?
Yep. No, she wasn't listening at all. There was no indication that she heard what he was talking about, because then he approached Tiff later and says that he spoke to the police about giving the letter to Evie, and the police had told him that Evie had given a statement against two men who had raped two young girls. So he had told her outright.
Evie.
So yeah.
So that's what made me think, because then Tiff all of a sudden said to Jack, yes, I was sexually assaulted, or whatever she said, raped or
she
whatever.
Said it happened to me too.
And I thought, is this Tiff lying to Jack, thinking if I say this, they might put me in contact with Evie? Because I thought there's no way they're going to give another female character on this show to be a sexual assault victim. And the whole week I thought, no, she's doing this as a lie. But then at the end of it all, when the Ruby case came out, they sort of made a parallel between the two, how Tiff is keeping it secret, Ruby's telling people, and how it's different. So it kind of looks like this did happen to Tiff then.
Yeah, and I think it has.
I think that's a big shame. I think that's such an awful route to go.
It's funny because they've not really handled... We're going to talk about the Ruby story later but just to quickly touch on the consent story that they've done with Ruby, it's been handled with not the kind of way that perhaps it should have been handled. It got sensationalized and then not sensationalized and then sensationalized again, and kind of went up and down. There was no kind of beat to the story for Ruby.
But this Tiff one seems so...
To throw the Tiff one into the mix kind of is almost throwing a grenade, because now they're saying, Tiff says that she feels better saying it out loud, but they're
not doing it.
But the right thing in her mind is to just keep it, not to let people know and to keep it to herself. And then later on, Ruby does that video and says, you need to have a voice, you need to shout out, you need to tell people when these things happen, or else we won't
Tiff
progress.
Wasn't watching that, was she?
Well, no, I don't think she was, because when they showed
she didn't have a
Ruby
phone in her hand.
No, she was stood at the sink, kind of just staring blankly into the window. Tiff was, but then they ended it, as you said, with them being parallel to each other in the gardens.
Yeah, and I know that they're probably going down, because she went to the STI clinic to see if she had anything. She said it was 12 days ago, and that's like the last cut-off point to know whether you're pregnant or not. So they're either going to do Tiff's is pregnant, which I hope not, or they did mention a HIV test for her, which she won't have results for straight away. So I don't know if they're maybe going down that route, that Tiff may have HIV. But I just think it's just a shame that there's every character they have, a female character, they make her, she's a strong character because she's spoken out about sexual abuse. It's like, that's not the only way to make a female character strong. It's like they've done it to so many characters, and they're all on the square, and there's like
this is the
Stacey,
thing, isn't it?
Ruby, Kathy, Linda. Yeah. It's like, how many? Do you really need to do that?
It's mad, isn't it? It's like the epicenter.
If they wanted to do like an STI story or something like that with Tiff, couldn't they have just had her and Jagger,
or something.
Her and Jagger when they were together
without protection? Because that's a better story as well. Because that's something that people don't really talk about. Yes, okay, when you're raped, there's very unlikely that there'll be protection. But when it's consensual sex, a lot of people don't wear protection, and not just because it's a bad idea because you might get pregnant unwanted, you may not want to get pregnant, but also because you can catch STD and STI.
I hope they're not going to do Tiff is pregnant at the same time Whitney and Halfway can't have kids. And then Whitney takes care of Tiff's child for her.
Her little ginger baby.
At Christmas, because that's 9 months away.
Oh yeah, it will be. Oh, for goodness sake. That would just... that would annoy me. A pregnant teenager has the baby at Christmas. It's just...
And it surprises me that they're doing 2 sexual consent storylines like this, like, in a row.
I've got a feeling that they've done that just so they can kind of...
Show the other side
and carry it on. I think that it gives...
but they've shown that with, like, Linda, because Dean got away. He didn't go to jail for it. He got away with it. Like, they could have had Linda and Ruby and like that. So they could have done that route with the Ruby. If they wanted to show the 2 sides of it, they could have had Ruby and Linda have like a thing. Or Kathy with Wilmot Brown. Like recently, she could have invited all the girls over in the cafe, like for a late night evening.
Well, like when they try to get rid of the stalker for Michelle.
Yeah. I just think it's a massive shame if Tiff isn't lying, which she obviously isn't now because of the way they showed the end of that storyline. I think it's a shame that they feel the need to have done that to her. Because they had that, is she gay with Evie or does she fancy Bernie's side to it as well? So there's all sorts they could have done. But yeah, I think it's just a shame because everything else about the storyline has been done really well. I just feel this last twist on it wasn't necessarily needed.
A lot of people didn't like the drug trafficking kind of story, the children labour, within a group of. And so Oliver. I guess this is a way of kind of making Tiff's story, instead of just ending suddenly because Evie's been taken away, giving a reason for that story that we've had for about a year. Otherwise, you're just dropping a story for really very little reason.
I know, but there's still the Bernie and Tiff side to it. That was really interesting when they focused on that.
Yeah, but Bernie's got Mr. Murray back.
Oh, God.
So there's that to come.
I think it's a shame. I think they use that on female characters far too often on this show.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. And as you said, your idea of they could do a really empowered all the women in the cafe who had been sexually abused come in and talk.
Patty said that once, 2 years ago. She said, "This place is going to be a place for everyone to come, and I'll shut up, and we can all talk about this, that, and nothing will be secret." And then they never did anything with that. But I mean, obviously going forward, I'm assuming they're doing maybe she'll have HIV. I'm guessing that's where it's going, either that or pregnancy. By the looks of it,
I mean, her to catch, HIV, or that would be more interesting for me.
Yeah, it would.
That'd be fascinating, actually. A young person having HIV. That'd be a really interesting story.
Yeah. So yes, we'll see. I was not very pleased with that bit of character development, but it's fine.
Oh well.
We will continue on to another big budget episode.
Yeah,
All
I
the
know.
budget went out. I feel the production team may have been slightly annoyed at the audio quality.
Yes.
On top of that O2 tower.
And I'm glad I wasn't the only one who spotted this, because we've had a few messages from people sent to us on Facebook and Twitter saying that they noticed it too, or asked us if we noticed it. Jean's audio was all dubbed at the top of the O2.
It's a shame. They did do, dubbing's very difficult. They matched the mouth movement to the words very well. It's just you could tell it wasn't filmed. You could tell it was filmed inside the studio, basically.
Gillian Wright did the acting of that perfectly. I mean, that was outstanding. Kudos to her. And she, it was almost identical to how it was probably said and portrayed on the top of the O2.
It took you out.
It took you out of it a little bit.
Such a shame, because obviously they're using location more now. They don't normally use it. So KH probably had to say, come on, we're going to do some more location filming. And then to do the location filming, get all those beautiful shots, and then for the audio to not work, it's I hope they don't go, right, well,
that's the end of that then.
There's no more location filming, because that is why. It's it's such a shame, because it could have been a real pinnacle moment in part of this storyline, this big thing that Jean had done. She'd overcome this, and the dialogue that she had there was very meaningful, but I can't really remember it because I was just focusing on how it sounded. I mean, which is a shame.
To be fair, there was only actually 2 scenes that they did at the top of the O2.
Yeah, but they were the 2 most important scenes of that moment.
But the main thing out of it was that she said that she compared it to her battle with cancer. She won the battle with her fear of heights, getting up to the top of the O2.
Shirley didn't.
Shirley did not. Shirley was in the toilet quite often and was walking like a cowboy for some bizarre reason at one point. And
maybe she didn't make it to the toilet.
Terrifying thought. And I think Shirley's main problem was that she couldn't smoke when she was on the top of the O2.
Yeah, if she had a few fags, she'd be alright. When she calm her down.
If she could have just smoked to the top of the O2 without burning it down, she would have been fine. But yeah, and so she's going to win. Jean is going to win the battle of the cancer too.
It worries me when a character says that, because it means. I mean, it's going to go 2 ways anyway, but when a character says, no, I'm going to win this, I'm oh God, I hope you do, because I won't better.
Well, I hope so too, because I love the character of Jean, and I've been the biggest ambassador to give Jean a big story. They've given her a big story, and now she might die. So I feel so guilty.
I hope not. It would just be horrible, but I guess it would be good writing, but when they're dead, that's it. So it's a big risk.
On Twitter, there was a really interesting short video with John Sen and Gillian Wright, and they talk about the story of Jean's
nice
story.
To see John Sen.
It was really nice, really interesting as well. He really, you could tell he's really got a direction of what he wants to do. So I found that really fascinating. It was when an executive producer gives their time to talk about a plot and a story, you know that they're invested in it and they want to let the audience come in too.
Yeah. And they asked the actress whether she's happy to do it and what she thought of it, which is nice. It wasn't something they said, we're giving you this storyline.
Well, she said that when Kate invited her to the office, she was very excited because she was told that she was going to get a story. And then when she was told it was going to be the ovarian cancer story, she felt like a part of her just sucked out of her, and she was then like, oh no.
That's how all of us felt when we heard it, though, because Jean's so like lovable. I didn't quite get why she said the guy on top of the O2 reminded her of Sean. Like,
yeah, he was a different ethnicity.
Well, no,
to begin
not that,
with.
but like he was nothing like Sean, like really.
His confidence, maybe, or the way he was.
It was like they
helping
just
her.
said that just because they wanted to mention Sean.
Yeah, well, talking of Sean, that's
he's on the list.
He's on Jean's. I'm not gonna.
He's not just on my to-do list.
It's not a to-do list. It's that I'm not going to kick the bucket list. I mean,
he's on my to-do list.
Is he to do what? Let's not go
Who
there.
can say?
Yeah. And he's to find Sean. Yeah, Jean needs to find Sean. She needs
Even though
to find
Stacey's in touch with him, so she could just ask Stacey.
But then she kind of... It's weird, because this week, Jean was really worried on Friday about going to her appointment. And she seemed really happy when Stacey turned up and said, I'm not going to let you go on your own. She sat back and felt much more relaxed.
Yeah.
But then Stacey left her after she started the treatment and left her with Shirley.
Well, she got a storyline, you see. She's like Lola.
She's just busy and she's just
all in
everywhere. Fingers in many pies.
Full maternity leave. Putting in the overtime.
Yeah, she needs to make the most of what she's got. And
she needs to make the money.
She needs the money. And yeah, Jean is now going to look for Sean. And I think that perhaps
Shirley. Do you think Shirley, because Shirley saw it written down, didn't she? Do you think she's going to try and find Sean?
Yeah, well, Facebook? Shirley saw it a couple of times.
Make a fake profile.
Hi,
it's Scarlett.
I'm not doing fake profiles again. All this social media on EastEnders recently.
I know. But that must mean Sean is imminent. He's soon, because he's appeared on a list. 2 mentions in 2 episodes.
Well, when did he film it? It was, what, 2 months ago?
It was filmed out of sync, so it could be air anywhen. They filmed his to fit in with his free time.
Oh,
so it wasn't filmed like a particular...
Oh, right.
It was filmed way out of sync.
So is all his scenes going to be off the square, or are there going to be some...
I think he has got one in the square. Right. I'm not sure, actually. I don't think there's been any footage of him on the square. Because there's a fight with Jack in a graveyard.
Yeah.
And that's probably at Ronnie's grave. And I think he's back for 5 episodes. So I imagine he'll appear on the Friday last minute for the Duff Duff.
Yeah. And then
he'll
a week's
appear
worth.
for a week.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I'm just wondering if all the scenes are going to be off...
Location.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Oh, God.
I hope they're not dubbed. A week's worth of dubbing.
Get the boom mics fixed. Yeah, so... But I liked Jean's story of her achievement and her going
she started
forward.
Chemotherapy. She's wearing cold hat. That helps, basically. It ups the chance of you not losing your hair. That does. But they didn't plug it in.
Oh, I didn't spot that.
Oops.
Whoops-a-daisy.
But it's fine. Just the once. I'm sure it's fine. I'll plug it in next time.
Yeah, they'll remember. As long as they plug in the chemo machine, that's the main thing.
Exactly. Right, so next up we have one of your games, I think. So
yeah, it's my game next.
In for a treat, in for a penny, in for a pound. Could that be a new game, maybe?
No, because we'll be stealing a game from Stephen Mulhern.
Oh, yeah. Boo.
Boo. Yes, time for a game. Time for a little game, an exciting game, a game that hasn't been played for a while.
Ooh.
But do you remember a little game we used to play called Mick Carter's Havin' a Bubble?
No.
Okay, well, let me remind you of the rules. Basically, I'm going to say an answer or a statement, and you have to tell me whether the statement is true by saying, "Too Irish, me old China," or whether it's false by saying, "He's a porky pie."
Why does he say that, not true or false?
Yes. It's Mick Carter's Having a Bubble. True is "Too Irish, me old China." Ben is studiously writing these down. Me old China. And false is "He's a porky pie." He's a porky pie. Okay. Excellent. This is exciting. So this week it was announced that Lee McDonald will be joining the cast of EastEnders for 2 episodes as a bus driver who has a grievance with Mick Carter in episodes to be aired soon.
Really?
Yeah. They both want to win a radio competition for some tickets. Look forward to that on the podcast soon.
Can't wait.
This casting is the most recent in a long history of Grange Hill actors who have come to the soap. as MacDonald played Zamo Maguire from 1982 to 1987, famously leading the Just Say No campaign when his character became addicted to drugs. Just say no, Ben.
Yes. No.
So I'm going to name an actor or actress, and I'm going to claim that they've been in Grange Hill.
Okay.
And you have to tell me whether it's true or false, or me old China, or Porky Pie.
What's Grange Hill?
Grange Hill was, for any listeners out there who doesn't know what Grange Hill was a children's soap that was broadcast on the BBC from 1978 to, I believe, the mid-2000s.
Oh, okay.
And
where was it set?
It was set in London.
Oh, okay.
It was created by Phil Redmond, who you might know created a certain other soap that's on Channel 4 as we speak. Hollyoaks.
Was that what Anton Decker in? Or was that something else?
That was Biker Grove.
Ah, okay. Getting all confused.
Biker
Right.
Grove was another soap of a similar time. Wow,
okay.
that was more the 90s. So here's the first one. Are you ready? Are you excited?
Yes.
Great. So, number 1, Susan Tully, who played Michelle Fowler in EastEnders from 1990 to 1994.
Old China. Old Irish China. True.
Irish true. That's correct. She played Suzanne Ross, a rebellious teenager from 1981 to 1984.
I recently tweeted a picture of that, so...
I know, that's why I thought I'd help you along, you see. Start you in easy.
Yes.
Slide it in. Right, number 2, Michelle Gale, who played Hattie Taverner in EastEnders from 1990 to 1994. You might remember her because I did her with... I used Michelle Gale as one of the artists for the music
Singers.
quiz. Yeah.
Old China Irish, true.
Old China Irish.
Whatever it is.
It is true. She played Fiona Wilson from 1988 to 1989, so she just went straight into EastEnders straight afterwards. Samantha Womack. She played Ronnie Mitchell in EastEnders from 2007 to 2011, and then again 2013 to 2017. Was she in Grange Hill?
One of them was. I'm going to say she... Well, you've done 2 true. I'm going to say true.
You're saying true again?
Well, yeah.
No, that was a Porky Pie, I'm afraid. She had appeared in Children ITV's programme Press Gang and Spats as a child. Do you remember Spats?
No, I don't remember any of these.
Spats was a comedy series about a burger establishment.
When I was a child, I watched like Bad Girls, not Biker Grove.
Oh, I ran home from school and watched Children's ITV and all kinds of stuff. Right, number 4, Sean Maguire played Aidan Bronson in EastEnders from 1993 to 1994. Was he in? He was in Grange Hill, wasn't he?
No. Pie.
Porky Pie. He was. He played Terence Teggs Radcliffe from 1988 to 1992. A lot of actors cut their teeth in Grange Hill before they moved to EastEnders.
A bit like Doctors.
What, the soap Doctors?
Yeah, people appear in Doctors and they appear in EastEnders. That's what Rebecca Scroggs told us.
Well, and then move on to Holby City and Casualty.
Yeah.
Townsend Elfwaite, who plays Mel Owen, or continues to play Mel Owen, from 1998 to 2002, and then 2018 to present. She was in Grange Hill. True or false?
True. I can see her playing like a naughty school teenager.
You're saying too Irish, me old China?
Yeah.
No. Although her TV son Hunter, played by Charlie Winter, has got a ever-growing rap music career. Again, a song we played
What's that got
in
to do
another
with
episode. Well, he's a
Grange
child
Hill?
actor. I just thought I'd pop that in. It's a fact. Number 6, Gillian Tailforth. She's been in EastEnders from 1985 to 2000, and then came back from death in 2015 to present. Was she in Grange Hill?
No. Porky Pie.
Porky Pie, you're correct. Although she did star in a children's game show on TVS on a program called On Safari, which was hosted by Christopher Biggins, who we all know is the spit of your mother. There you go. Number 7, Lisa Hammond, who played Donna Yates in EastEnders, 2014 to 2018. You're saying no?
Yep, no.
What's that?
Porky Pie.
I can tell by your tone, Ben, that you're clearly starting to give up on this. She did.
Really?
She was in Grange Hill from 1994.
Thought she'd be too young.
1994 to 1996. She played Denny Roberts. Number 8, Patsy Palmer, Bianca Jackson in EastEnders 1993-1999 to 2008 and 2014. Was she in Grange Hill? She was. She played Natasha for one episode in 1987.
One episode?
She was in Grange Hill in 1987.
I could be in one episode.
Lorna Fitzgerald. Abby Branning, 2006 to 2018. Was she in Grange Hill?
No, because she was in EastEnders when she was young.
That's
Lie.
exactly right. This is a lie. It's a Porky Pie. She played the role of Abby as a child, so unless she moonlighted onto Grange Hill, she couldn't have done both. Last one then. Letitia Dean, who's Sharon Watts, who's played the role since 1985. Was she in Grange Hill?
No.
You're saying that's a lie too?
Yes.
Well, you'll be sad to find out that she was in Grange Hill. She
But
played.
her and Susan Tully know each other.
They were in it at the same time. She was Lucinda Oliver from 1983 to 1984. So there you go. So there's been lots of actors on EastEnders who have also been on Grange Hill. So that's why it made a good game. Not a game that you were very strong at, though, I must say, this week.
It's because I've never watched that show before.
Well, you must have a bit of background knowledge about who's been in
Susan
it.
Tully.
As I said, I helped you ease you in.
Well, I know that little Dennis, was in Tracy Beaker for one episode, so there you go.
Was he?
Yeah.
What was it, an EastEnders special? They did it where the stars of EastEnders came into the house. You got
I think I got 4.
You got Susan Tully right. I think you got 4. Yeah, 4 out of 10. Dan, poor show.
Poor game.
Don't blame the game. So, if you have any characters that you remember from Grange Hill, tweet us at EastEnders Week or send us an email, eastendersweekly@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram and our Facebook group. And that was, Ben, another round of Mick Carter's Having a Bubble.
The last of John York's storylines now. Finishing up this week with a court case.
Was it really the end?
This is the end of that storyline, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, but the echoes from it, the ripples from the stone being dropped in the water are going to continue, as we mentioned just now with Tiff, I think.
Yeah, so we had the court case with Ruby, and like the results of that. But before that, we had like a bit where Ruby was helping her friend Stace. Another storyline for Stace, to give her closure on Archie, where she took her to the grave.
Yeah, well, Stacey was giving evidence in court on not on Ruby's behalf. She was giving additional evidence, and
that barrister was going for it, wasn't she?
I know. None of this women's, sticking together.
She was a bit over the top. A bit.
She was pushing, wasn't she? She was really pushing for a result.
Shouting.
Yeah. What do you mean?
She shouted louder than Stacey. That's not normal.
With Stacey had some kind of decorum, which I found surprising in court. I do always find that in soaps that people just seem to say what they like in court. Like if it was a real court, it's just like a question and answer.
She just started talking to the jury, didn't she?
She started talking to the jury. She looked at Martin, started looking at Ross and Matt, and having a right little conversation.
That's
with
another
everyone.
thing. I'm sure in cases like that, like Ruby wouldn't be in the same room as Matt and Ross.
Which she was given the opportunity for a video evidence, and then she refused it.
I didn't think you were allowed. I thought it had to be. They weren't allowed to like see each other.
No, I think as long as Ruby
Okay.
or the defendant gives consent, then it's okay. Well, yes, it's more consent. It's all about consent. But yeah, so Stacey gave evidence and seemed a bit perturbed, and Ruby asked if everything's okay. Well, Ruby, yes, then Stacey says, I've messed it all up. I want you to have justice. The justice I didn't get because I wasn't able to face Archie. And so then Ruby...
Well, she did.
Well, she does, because then Ruby...
With a snow globe.
She didn't look at Archie, though.
That's true.
Yeah, she
But
did
might have
behind
seen
his back.
reflection.
But no, he saw her reflection, didn't he?
Yeah, that's true.
From the... God,
Poor Archie.
This is looking back. Oh. And so anyway, so she goes and visits Archie's grave, and
Yes.
and
How did
has
Ruby
it
know where his
out.
grave was? That's the one question I had.
Wolford Graveyard,
When she looked him up.
privately owned now, as we found out on Classic EastEnders this week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no longer owned by the council. They sent it off for land.
Poor Arthur.
Well, not Arthur. It's Lou.
No, not Arthur. What's his name?
Lou.
Albert.
Lou's
Poor
husband.
Albert.
Yeah, he's got nowhere to stay. He was
so
spinning
yeah.
in his grave if he knew.
I thought this was a bit like weird, this speech that Stacey gave. Like Ruby like took her over and she was like, there you go. She was like, okay. And then she like just went into like a speech and then she went, okay, I'm done. It was like what? It was really odd. It felt a bit out of place for me.
She got her closure.
I didn't really think it was needed.
I quite liked it actually. I quite liked seeing Stacey being a bit cathartic and basically giving a bit of a Stacey rant, but to a dead person.
Yeah, but it just seemed really like, I don't know, like weird. Like they just put it in just because they felt they had to, but like it didn't really give anything.
I don't think so. I think it was.
And I just thought it was really awkward that she was stood there on her own, that she was like talking like that, and it was just, I don't know. I think it was just a bit off for me about it. It was weird.
I thought it was quite a it was a very soap thing to do, and that's to go to a grave and talk directly at a gravestone about your feelings, whether it be...
It was weird, like Ruby like walked off and said, okay, have fun, see you in 5 minutes.
But no, she never said that.
No, but it was just really odd the way it was. I don't know, there's something odd about it to me. It was really weird.
I thought it was a kind of a standard soap trope for me. I enjoyed it. It didn't feel weird for me. It actually...
I can't even really remember what she said. What did she say? Well, give me the gist of it.
Well, she just says to Archie that
can't hurt her now.
Yeah, he's manipulated her enough, and that she just doesn't give a toss about him anymore.
Okay, I'm done now. Do you want to go to McDonald's? So, like, I don't know. It just seemed weird to me. It was like wasn't needed. I don't feel for Stacey's character. It was so long ago. So many other things has happened to her. I've not been wanting this closure for her.
But then this whole story has been not just about Ruby, has it? It's been about Stacey too. And in fact, it was even brought up in court that they asked, "Oh, so it wasn't you who said it was rape first, Ruby? It was your friend Stacey who said it first." So in that respect, it has been about Stacey as well. I'm surprised that horrible barrister didn't bring up the fact that Stacey was a murderer. Can't trust you. There's lots of things they could say about Stacey, to be fair. But yeah, so this story has been about Stacey as well as Ruby. Well, sorry, I should turn it the other way around. It's been about Ruby as well as Stacey. It's been about how Stacey is almost putting all her efforts forward for Ruby to kind of give her the closure. And Ruby's said, like, you know... Ruby's given back. Well, no, Ruby said that my conviction of if they get found guilty, because at this point they hadn't been found guilty yet, isn't going to give you the closure. The only closure you're going to get is by talking it through in your own mind. That's what essentially it was. You could have just gone into an empty room and said, stuck a picture of Archie in front of you and just said, right, talk to that picture. I'll be back with the McDonald's that you seemed so keen on having. I still thought it was, I don't know, I just didn't really like it. I didn't think it was added much for me, that scene. But we got the result of the court case. Yes. And they got found guilty. They did. Both of them. It was basically because Matt kind of crumbled under the pressure. Well, yeah, because when he was asked whether Ruby gave consent, he said, I don't know. And that was pretty much it, wasn't it? That was the seal that made the deal. Yeah. I was surprised. They didn't say what sentence they got, did they? No, we'll find out then. It'll be one of those like, Jack will probably walk up to Ruby and say, I just heard from the court. He's got 10 years or something like that. But I was surprised to hear that Matt and Ross had got it. I thought there'd be a bit of a twist, and I thought that Matt would be convicted, but Ross would somehow sneak out of it, and then maybe story would carry on a little bit further. I mean, obviously, I think it's a story that needed to have a happy ending for Ruby. I said that ages ago. I said they would, and like people kept thinking Kate Oates might take it because she did try. She took it down that weird thing when she did that drugging thing. But I said because they were working with charity, they basically had to do the right conclusion for it. But I just the whole drugging week. It was a bit of a shame. Well, it left a bad taste in the whole story, didn't it? Because it made Ruby seem quite guilty as well. For another crime, I mean. But well, she is guilty for another crime. That's what I mean. She drugged someone. But she got the right conviction for Matt and Ross. But then you think of all the other characters who didn't go down that path that Ruby went to. That's right. So it's kind of that thing. It's almost advocating extremism in order to get the result that you want. I mean, that's what I mean. As I said earlier on the podcast, that it kind of took a surreal and then realistic and then surreal and realistic path. It kept going up and down this story. Ruby did reference it, saying that I may have ruined our chances. I'm such an idiot for doing that last week. Silly me. Yeah, whoops. And snip, whoops. Slipped. Jay had apologised to Ruby as well and said, no, you haven't been too silly. I mean, that's, as we were saying earlier, that's kind of in the air now. The Jay, Lola, Ruby story, so there's a kind of love triangle maybe developing between them three. I don't know what else is going to go on Ruby, really. No. Well, other than her impending huge social media presence that she'll now get, with all the retweets and likes and the shares. This was another thing that was live really, video. Cheesy to me. It was like the Stacey cheesy. It's like that Stacey bit of the grave and this live video was really like... Ugh. Well, it was weird because Stacey said she was going to message Ruby to tell them the Vic to have a drink to celebrate. And she was on social media. She was like, oh, Ruby's live. Click. And then everyone around the whole Vic started watching this video. And this is when they started showing the shots of Linda. And they showed the shots of Tiff. Kind of looking on or posing their own thoughts about the situation they've been in or how they're currently in. And it's just really, I just don't like seeing stuff like that. I don't know why. It just looks weird. I think you just don't like monologues. I just don't think you like any scenes when you'd hate the episode of EastEnders when it's just Dot talking to a tape recorder. God. Need to dig that episode up. Yeah, don't take me back there. Actually, that's not a bad idea. I think we should dig that out.
My live reaction.
Yeah, your live reaction.
Yeah, we'll do that soon.
But yeah, she encourages people to come out. Says it's worse not saying anything because you're letting them get away with it. They'll get to do it again.
Sadly, Tiff wasn't watching live, so
no, she wasn't. But that's how the episode ended because they were both in the
Arthur's
grounds.
Bench.
Well, one was on Shaquille's and Arthur's bench.
I know.
They share that bench now, and the other one was on another bench.
Yeah. Joyce.
Yeah.
Joyce's bench.
Joyce's bench. Some bench.
She thought this place was okay.
Yeah, exactly. And you kind of saw this shot of them, the camera pulling away of them both. Ruby looking relieved, but Tiff looking
worried and concerned.
Yeah, exactly. So the story is obviously going to head where they're both going to maybe talk and...
Still not happy. I'm not really been 100% happy this whole time Ruby's been here. There's been highs and lows for my emotional state, but I've never been 100% happy with any of this.
I think I've never been...
And I'm still not, even though it's finished now.
No.
So...
I've never been too happy with the way Ruby drinks beverages. So
I know, because she used to drink champagne weird with her tongue,
she drinks
like
champagne,
a giraffe.
again, yes, as we've discussed, like a giraffe. And she drank coffee and chewed it this week. She chewed coffee.
Yeah, it's very odd. Can't get over it. That's the next storyline.
What, her problem with drinking?
Yeah.
Yeah. Stacey, I've got a problem. I can't drink beverages properly. Doof, 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 doof. That'd be fun. I'd enjoy that.
But yeah, I don't know really where they're going to go with Ruby next, because obviously Lola and Jay are probably going to get together.
It's going to be the love triangle, isn't it? Because they're going to kind of just quickly sum up the Tiff thing. I imagine that Ruby's going to convince her to actually go to...
Well, I hope not, because then we've just got the same storyline again.
But no, because it's kind of tied up more with the drug smuggling and the Evie story.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we'll see. Anyway, but that was all the stories this week on the Square.
It was, yes, we got through them.
We did.
We made it.
Got through them. That makes it sound very negative. I'd say we joyfully discussed them in a helpful and informative manner.
I would have liked more Ben. It was his first week.
There was enough
He wasn't there that much.
You don't need him that much. You get sick of Ben too quickly. Let him just drip feed to you.
I like how he talks like Harry Reid. That was interesting. He talks the same as the past Ben.
I didn't spot that at
He
all.
does. He's got the same thing.
Oh no, I didn't spot that at all.
Yeah, listen back. Listen to a few Harry Reid shouting, and then listen to Ben, and they sound similar.
Shall I find a YouTube video? Harry Reid shouting.
Yeah, there's lots of them.
All right, I'll do that. Okay. At the end of the podcast, we always read out your tweets and messages to us, and we find out who won the week.
You know me, I ain't one to gossip.
So before we find out who won the week and who had won previous weeks and Ben's birthday bonanza that he loves to go through, because he could be bothered to give the time this week, can you? Half the time. We have an announcement to make, and I've just realised it's an announcement to tell you that there's going to be an announcement on Monday the 8th. Check out our social media, at EastEnders Week on Twitter, at EastEnders Weekly Podcast on Instagram, or find us on Facebook, EastEnders Weekly Podcast. Just have a search. And we have an announcement to make on Monday. We'll be really...
What? Oh, you can't say.
I can't say.
Oh. I may have forgotten what it is, but it's fine. I'm in with everyone else.
Oh, so look forward to Monday. We'll announce it at the end of EastEnders as it's broadcast in the UK. So it will be at 8:30 British Summertime, BST.
Do you think you're part of like the tabloids? They do midnight releases for soap spoilers.
No, I can't be bothered to stay up that late. I'm just going to just post it after I've watched
Our
EastEnders.
spoilers are at 8.
Yeah, ours are at reasonable times. Take that. And then we have an exclusive on our Facebook page only on Friday the 12th of April.
Just to do with the same announcement from the Monday.
It may link to the announcement on Monday, but we have an exclusive. So if you join our Facebook group now, you will avoid disappointment on Friday the 12th.
Hope.
Yeah, hopefully. And so, yeah, keep your eyes and ears out.
Cut content. That's what I'm going to say. So take that, everyone.
But for now, then, let's find out who had won the week in previous years in Ben's little history lesson of the Square.
Well, I've got two big ones.
Well, what about the
They're called
who won
Keanu
the week?
Taylor and Ben Mitchell. No, we've got two big ones. 4th of April, 1989. That's going back, isn't it? Den Watts has recently died.
Oh, has he? Spoiler.
Shot in the canal. And this is when, you know that pregnancy that happened on the first year of the show ever, 1985, with Den and Michelle?
Vaguely remember.
Well, it's finally come out who the dad is. Sharon's going to be told. Yes, Vicky tells Sharon who...
Vicky tells Sharon? No. God, Vicky's grown up quick.
Michelle...
I can say complete sentences at 4.
Michelle tells Sharon because Sharon's a bit upset and she's like, oh, I hate my family. Mama's gone to Spain. My dad's dead. Everyone's left me. I'm all on my own. You're my family now, Michelle. And she says, Vicky really is your family. She said, what do you mean? Stepsister.
Yeah.
So, she tells
sorry,
her...
he said that with such seriousness.
Yeah. It's a very good episode. It was about like a 15-minute scene between Michelle and Sharon talking this out, where she says that it was Den who is the father of Vicky, and there's one of the best slaps I've ever seen. I replayed it to you because it was so good. The noise.
It was very loud.
I think Letitia Dean and Susan Tully were like, they said Letitia was like, I'm gonna slap you, like for real.
Right.
Because like she hit her and she like nearly swears. She goes, ow. So it's very good. We'll try and find it and show it on Twitter, and then you can see it for yourselves. Yeah. It's a big slap. But it's a really good scene. It's like really long, and it's a very good episode where everything comes out about how it all went down.
Well, it'd be good if you can find it, because then you can have the slap on repeat and just constantly listen to this slap sound.
That's what we'll upload. Just the
slap. That's what I mean.
Five slaps in a row.
Yeah, just a slap. It'd be good.
Remix. And the second episode was another big one. Was the 2nd of April 2009. Someone got run over and dies in Ronnie Mitchell's arms.
Oh, yeah, this was sad, this story. Someone had posted this on Twitter as well.
Oh.
This week.
Someone doing my job for me.
I think you'll find I forget his name, and I'm very sorry if you're listening, but he works as a BBC researcher or BBC archive.
Oh. That's my job.
Is that what you're doing now?
Unofficial. But yeah, the episode where Danielle dies in Ronnie's arms, when she finds out it is her daughter.
Yeah, although
Janine runs her over.
It still makes me...
I don't know, people are still unhappy.
Yeah. No, it doesn't make me unhappy.
Or sad.
It makes me sad, but it was the logical ending, because Ronnie can never be happy. Ronnie was never written in that soap to ever have happiness. To the day she
Cinderella, isn't she?
Yeah, to the day she well, no. To the day she died, she was just never ever truly happy.
Not destined to be happy.
I mean, who would be happy if you married Jack on your last day on this earth?
Well, I knew a few people who were happy this week because it was their birthday.
Oh,
that's a nice link. So, guess what? 4th of April 1961. It was Masood's birthday.
Oh,
did Kathy care? No, she had Ben. She's over him. Habiba and Ikra didn't care either. Didn't send him a happy birthday card.
Well, because we never saw them on screen. The only one I could think of who should give her monkeys is Adam, who we saw on screen. But I suppose he didn't really know.
And Kathy, the love of her life.
Well, Kathy, well, she was too happy. She was more invested
yeah, she's into Ben.
Well, she was more invested in Ben coming home.
2nd of April 1966 is Barry Clark.
Oh, Barry.
Yeah, Barry, the partner of Colin. From the early years. And 2nd of April as well, shares birthday with Barry. 1971 is Gianni DeMarco, who everyone remembers that family fondly, don't they? The
DeMarcos, yeah, they were introduced to be like this big new family, and everyone hated them, so slowly they left. Apart from him, I think he was the only one. He's like the Italian Jack Branning, because he was in the police.
He was like the good-looking one.
Well, that's not the reason. He was in the police, and I think he was thrown out of the police service.
Wasn't that Beppe?
Oh, no, you're right, it was Beppe. Beppe was the gravity one, wasn't he?
Yeah. The other good-looking one.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so scrap everything I've ever said.
But, so yeah, next week, it's not just birthdays, because there's some exciting deaths. So I'm going to go to deaths and birthdays now next week.
Oh my goodness, you're really...
There's some big ones.
Taking it up a gear.
They didn't quite fit in, like, by the days.
No.
So I'll include them next week for you.
Yeah. Is there any... Can you reveal if there's any birthdays that are also their death days, or... So a character died and was born on the same day?
No. Abby Branning died on the same time.
What do you mean on the same time?
The same time she was born, she died, didn't she?
Oh yeah, but not the same day.
No, sadly. That would have been poetic.
Let us know if any of you guys know any characters that died and was born on the same day. Obviously not in that order. They had to be born first. So this week, who won the week? We gave you 4 options. It was Jack Branning, Ben Mitchell,
oh yeah,
Gene Slater,
or
Ruby Allen.
Nah. She's last.
I'd like to thank everyone who voted. We got the most votes we've ever got on Who Won the Week this week.
Ooh.
And it was the most unpredictable one. There was genuinely no real winner on any of the social medias, because we post this on our Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, and we had over 200 votes.
So every vote counts.
Exactly. Think of this as like a non-threatening Big Brother. So as we've become accustomed to, who do you think came last?
Ruby.
It was Ruby with 16%.
Oh dear.
3rd place, which really surprised me. Don't take too long.
Sorry. It's going to be Ben or Gene. I'm going to say Ben because he's new, but I'm upset by this.
It is Ben. 3rd. I thought you swore then.
No.
No, yeah, Ben. I'm really surprised by that.
It's because he's new face.
I think people are still warming to him, aren't they? Anyway, 20% he got, 3rd place.
That's not bad.
So who won the week? Was it Jack Branning or was it Gene Slater?
Probably Jack Branning, because there's been a campaign
That's it.
created by one person.
It wasn't, but very narrow.
Oh dear.
Very narrow. Gene won, 33%. Jack came second with 31%. As I said,
That's never going to happen again. That's the only time he's ever going to be on the list. Unless he keeps
We've
up
done
this
Jack in
nice
Who Won.
side.
Yeah, we've done Jack on Who Won the Week a couple of times, and he's always been at the bottom to my glee. So yeah, this is what I mean. This New Leaf Jack, bring it on, New Leaf Jack. As I say, we always post Who Won the Week at the end of Friday's episode, as it's broadcast in the UK on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages, and you can vote on all of them. So don't forget to join in.
Mm-hmm.
Some comments relating to Who Won the Week, just very briefly. First of all, Chris Scott said, I would vote for Gene, but I couldn't get past the overdub recording of the voices on top of the O2. Yes, as we chatted, it was
very disappointing.
Very strange. Vicky Tucker says, I know you won't like it, but I vote Jack. He was excellent with Tiff this week. Well, Vicky, you get a buy on this one, because I didn't think he was that bad either. And Ben enjoyed it too. Although I'm the advocate of hate towards Jack, I feel.
You are.
Everyone seems to just target at me, so I feel like I'm taking the side down by saying he was all right. At BornSlippy96 said, I really hope Jack Branning wins this, just to hear it being read out. Thanks, BornSlippy.
Oh, he didn't, I'm afraid.
No. So. And at Danny Rowe 6997, I don't like the new Ben. Yeah.
Oh, someone's going to be blocked later. I think Ben's really good.
Yeah, but
don't know what people say in it. People are allowed opinions.
People are allowed to...
Only us two.
No, yeah, exactly. Only ours matter.
I asked, speaking of Ben, what's everyone's first ideas and what Lola and Ben are up to? What's their plan?
Ooh.
We had Trippy Gwyn. He said, smuggling veg for Uncle Pete. Bracket, he's not dead. He's just hiding.
I still stand there.
People.
What about it? I still stand that he isn't dead. I just got a feeling inside that they're going to bring him back.
They're going to bring him back. Get him and Kathy together, and they're going to be full circle. She's going to be forever unhappy under Pete Bill.
But then this works on my theory I said earlier on the episode that Kathy is actually still dead and she's a ghost, and then Pete will come back as a ghost. And what you'll find out is oh my goodness, here we go. Here's
You have to be very quick.
Okay,
Go.
Here's a thought. Ian Bill, this whole thing of EastEnders, you're going to find out in the very last episode, was in Ian Bill's imagination. And you're going to
when he took speed that one time at a party.
Yes, when he was 18. And you're going to basically see Ian Bill in bed, pulled away, and basically everything that's ever happened in Wolford has just been a dream in Ian Bill's head.
Awful.
But he's dying... No, just shush. He's dying in the bed and he's thinking of all these stories. You mark my
That's like the
word.
end of
Roseanne.
That soap. No, that soap when she was on a till.
Oh no, that was Crossroads,
Yeah.
the second reincarnation.
Sounds
No,
like that.
nothing like that. Ian Bill's actually dying. Hence why he thinks his mum... That's why it makes good sense Pete comes back from the dead, inverted commas. That's a great idea.
Anyway, Ryan says, we've done the whole Ben getting revenge on Phil thing. I have a feeling it's something to do with Lexi. Maybe she's ill.
I don't see why Lola would lie to benefit Ben for Lexi's benefit. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know.
Very odd.
Shush.
Not my thing. Bash X says he's going to con Phil out of all his money.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
That's the
theory.
obvious route, isn't it?
And Markin says they want to ruin Phil for all the pain he has given to Ben. And Kieran Smith says he's going to take over from Phil as the head of the family and the empire.
I think that's where it's heading. I really do. And it wouldn't surprise me too much if Steve McFadden says that he wants to take a bit of a sidestep or back step away from the soap.
Oh, he's never there, is he? He has about 6 months off a year.
But I think he's at that time where he probably doesn't want to do as much now, and kind of just... And it makes sense for Mitchell's presence to stay, but make it someone else to be the head.
Sharon.
No, Sharon... I think Sharon's another one who I think would... I think I've got
I
a
do
feeling...
worry because she has her stints, doesn't she?
Yeah,
Letitia Dean?
and this has been a long stint for Letitia Dean. I think I don't want it to happen.
No, what do I? Not Sharon.
I love Sharon and her swooshy hair, but I just have a feeling that something isn't.
It's happening.
It's happening, yeah.
There you go. That's this week's show wrapped up.
Just to remind you for the 100th time that you can contact us on Twitter at EastEnders Week. You can also contact us on our email, eastendersweekly@gmail.com. or our Instagram. Just find us at EastEnders Weekly Podcast. And of course, don't forget to join our Facebook group. Just search EastEnders Weekly Podcast and click to join. And as I said throughout the show, we've been getting some really nice messages. We always do, actually, now.
People are still messaging about Halfway's hat.
People are loving Halfway's hat, and people are loving
weeks.
But don't stop. We love it. And he will return once we get another message from him. You know, he goes off for weeks on end.
Yeah, when he's lost again, he'll contact.
Yeah, when he doesn't know where he
call
is.
Us out.
He likes going on his little adventures, and then when he gets a little lost, he gets him back in touch. So he will be back in touch soon. And yeah, just keep them coming, letting us know what you think of the show, what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy, and don't forget also to review us on iTunes or any podcast app that you listen to us on.
That's right.
So I'm off to climb the O2 with my old mucker, Shirley.
Face your fears.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to make sure that I have a nice square meal before I go up, just so I'm not, going to the toilet every 5 minutes.
And I want to make sure everyone listening follows us on social media, joins our groups, because I want to make this EastEnders Weekly Podcast name mean something.